Well, folks, here we are. I'm with Yosan Pedro, and he's in Israel. And the title that he's selected for today is Ascending Through Turmoil. And I'm going to let him take it away, and we'll hopefully have a little bit of a discussion for, about a half an hour or so. And we'll see where it goes from there. Yosan, are you ready?
Yes, we have talked a little bit before, and I will try to be concentrated on the theme that we picked up, which is easy because I was bothering and dealing with it for at least the last 24 hours, if not before. And how shall I start it? I'm meeting people who are in different levels of awareness. And maybe one of the highest level of awareness are people who are masters, who are teachers. And what I found out recently, that what they are specializing is finding excuses, finding a philosophical, spiritual explanation for bad things that happen. For example, they would say that the fact that so many millions have died in the war, or so many people suffer this or that, it's a means for the divine to shape them better, to make them stronger, to make them more qualified for the next level, that they will, it's a process of learning, and that going through the turmoil, through difficulties,
strengthens us. It strengthens us, the difficulty.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah. Well, maybe I meet people that were in war and were in difficult places, and I don't think they even have the people that they were before. I'm saying it. They came out of turmoil very broken.
So I have witnessed that. I've known people personally. My cousin, it was devastating. His job in Vietnam was a sniper. He was very, very good with firearms, because he was raised as a hunter, and he could shoot small animals, even rabbits and stuff like that. And
yes.
And they put him in the front line and had him killing the Viet Cong, so to speak. But he came back, and I mean, it made him he turned into a drug addict. And he had demons that he was fighting until he finally just disappeared. His family, his wife and child don't know where he went. He disappeared. He just vanished.
Yeah, but let's take the level of the teachers, because the teachers they come with one day with a resolution after we have suffered so much. Now we know the reason why we are suffering, and now if we find and we hear about other people suffering because this terrible thing happened here or there, or because there is a global elite that is running the world, but it's so much for our education. We need to learn the life. So when I looked at this from a perspective of somebody who practiced the method, and the method it did is to include you go through life and unpleasant things happen, and then you recuperate with expanding of the map. You say, yeah, life is bigger than that, what I thought at first, and now I've learned this, and now I'll learn that, and the bad things are happening, and you maybe at one point you start to ask for bad things to happen because you want to learn more.
Yeah, I still have a problem with the violation of free will. The whole thing comes down to, I do not have the right to force my intentions on another human being. Now, when I'm raising children, that's a little bit different, but not with other adults. I do not have the right to force other adults into my mold for them. And that's what's wrong with the world. There's people that think that they have the right, maybe even the responsibility, to force us to be what they want us to be instead of what we are from the inside. So it's an externally imposed curriculum, if you will.
Yeah, so eventually, if you look at forcing somebody into a situation, position that they don't feel comfortable, or they suffer or even die, you know, when you look at this, you find masters have concluded, and they bring you a solution, which is don't look outside there, look inside and find the good things that you can do, that you can feel. And this is in fact a master of people that found themselves in dire situation, or they suffer continuously, and they found means within themselves to recuperate and make themselves happy, easy, instantaneously. You know, the big masters, it just turned from complete disaster to laughter in a matter of second, because they created this intentionally within themselves. They know how to bring it up. So if somebody is crying out of sorrow, they'll make up a joke and make them laugh. So they turned it into a virtue by their own means. They took this, and they practiced it. And then one of my masters said, Arjuna Ardagh, he said, bring me the crazy one, bring me the worst of them. I want to meet the worst of them, because he was practicing through these challenges to bring out more of his good stuff. But the overall, the idea, the bad stuff can happen because we want to grow. That also implies maybe for a certain number of spiritual being, big spiritual being, to invite troubles. They invite troubles. So that's why the problem on the earth is not done, because they've not come to conclusion that although they like to challenge themselves with big difficulties, and they're not afraid to die, and it's all right, everything is all right, is always all right, which is perfectly nice, and they can turn every situation into the good side. Still, in the process of their practicing, most of the earth is dead. Most of the earth is dead by the time they allowed it to continue. So what I'm saying is that I've arrived to a point, and I've grown my map of intelligence or consciousness or awareness to sizes that usually people don't. I just jump far away, I've done, for example, last 2 years, I've done only plasma devices. Plasma devices, these devices are conscious devices. I communicate with these devices, and they communicate with me. Each device is different. Or
you're actually receiving spiritual communication with a machine?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's good to get spiritual communication with the child, with the bird. And the crow, big like this, is stand over here on the terrace. Or I can see the birds flying without looking with my eyes. I can see them lights passing through my, I don't know where. So I'm conscious, I'm conscious, more conscious. I'm taking care of people who are in very hard situation. Even if they in the worst situation of the worst, I'm one of the best caretaker, you can call it spiritually. I do difficult stuff. So how much can I go to practice all this suffering? For me to learn what? To become a better healer, to become a better teacher? What is it? What is this selfish idea? I'm not talking to me about me, because I've got tired of this long time ago. And people are forced to learn things through hard ways, and they excuse this to say it's necessary. But in the meantime, so many people suffer of it. It's time that we made a decision that it's enough. We have to expand not through difficulties. We have to expand through other experiences, you know. Like I build the machines, if I paint or I make music or I communicate with a higher, more evolved being than myself. So this is already a step forward that I am starting to learn from the good side, not only from the bad side.
Yeah, you named a teacher that you've studied under before, but I didn't quite catch the name. Would you like to repeat? Was it Yogananda, or who did you?
Yeah, it's 4 years before I think from year 1000 to 15 years ago, I learned, I was looking through masters and I was still learning from everybody, even before, but when the internet started and I found masters like, I can mention a few, but the one that really caught my attention was Arjuna Ardagh.
I'm not familiar with that one at all.
Arjuna Ardagh is from Nevada City. He's an English guy that he wrote a book, a famous bestseller in America. Arjuna is no name in Ardagh is Ardagh.
Yeah, the name doesn't. I don't know that I've ever heard the name or come across it. At least it doesn't ring a bell for me.
Yeah, it's a very serious master, very close person. He was practicing oneness blessing. Is one of the first that brought oneness blessing to the United States. He was learning it in India. He went to India on his own when he was, I think, 19. Left his family in England, and he went to India and came back and started to teach. But now, for the maybe 5 last year, he's doing.
Oh, he's still alive.
Yeah, he's young. He's younger than us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's teaching. He was teaching radical awakening.
Well, I've heard of that. I've heard of some of the things that you're saying he was involved in, but his name itself doesn't ring a bell at all.
People should check him up. He publishes a book and he's making courses. People can go to for a weekend. I don't know if he's doing the radical awakening anymore. I think he's only making the oneness blessing now.
Okay. Yeah. So you think that the creator or whatever, God, whatever, uses turmoil to get us to raise our frequency or become more aware, more conscious?
No, I don't think so. I think I would say something not very common, maybe, but if I say it's a lie, I don't think it's true. I think people have handled or tried to cope with hard situations with finding all kind of excuses
or reasons.
Yeah, but I'm not sure it's true, and I'm not sure if it's true. Not only from the maybe I have a special reason why I don't think it's true. It is because I've experienced bad people. And bad people is not somebody from the army that goes with a gun, and it's not somebody that works in a bank. They don't have any profession, title, or anything to define them as evil. It's not a definition. Yeah, the evil is a kind of being. The sign is a kind of specific kind of person that is affecting everything about them in an evil way. It's something that until you meet, you don't know it existed. Until you recognize.
Psychopathic and just very negatively oriented.
No, there's not psychopaths. They're not negative oriented. It's their being. It's like having an apple. It's a natural phenomena. It's a natural phenomena. That's why you cannot get hold of it, and you cannot heal it with a general ideology or study. You cannot heal criminality by being a specialist in criminality. You know, It's not related, you know. It's a phenomenon. It's like a dog. You have a dog, you hear him bark. You know, you have a dog. They can tell you stories about dogs all day long, but you haven't dealt with one dog. So to deal with evil people, it's not a general study, but it is a coincidence that you meet one like that. You know, people say evil very lightly. It's not something that is very common.
So how are you defining evil then? How are you defining this process or whatever?
Yeah, it's a good question, because you cannot define even a tree. You can say a tree is something that grows from the ground and goes like this. Yeah, maybe, but you cannot define an evil. It's something that you have to experience. You know, there's a French author that very like in very much try to describe to an alien being on another star what is a cloud. It's impossible to describe it. He knew the other side never saw clouds, so how to describe this? So it's not something that you have to find a solution and a global solution. My idea, at least, and I'm absolutely doing this here one step further in the ideas how to deal with evil. Evil is something that you meet in person. There is somebody in person that you meet. It's not a system. It's not a bank. Maybe there's somebody in the bank, yes. Maybe there's somebody in the mortgage department, yes. In the social welfare, yes. There are people like that, but they are in the system. It's not because the system is bad. The system is bad, yes, because it is a system. It doesn't care about anybody in particular. It doesn't give attention to individuals. But the problem is they're missing the individual, because the individual is the core of the problem. The individual, if they are killers, and it happens, you have people that are killers. Like Saddam Hussein or Stalin, they used to chop off the head of a chicken when they were kids just to have fun. So the suffering of others, you know, living with some, it's an organic phenomenon. You know, you can say it's a psychopath, but he's not a psychopath. It's a complete organic being, you know, that is behaving like this. It has a character, like a star, the moon, they have a character. So every element here have their specific defined character, which you can tell or not, but they have it.
And you believe that they're born that way?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I have a problem with that. You know, I really.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because there is a general belief, to say it's all for the good. You know, if something bad happens, it's also for the good. If there are evil, that there is an explanation. But the explanation is always too late, you know. After you know this person was evil, he already caused so much damage that you should have wanted to know it in advance, you know.
Yeah, well, I think the earth has been taken over by evil beings, and call them demonic or demons or whatever. Many of them, of course, take human form. But they're malevolent beings. They do not will good, they will bad.
But that's another group, because you have several groups that harm people. Yeah, the one that I talked just now, it's a genuine native born on the earth, that they are like this. And they are the best cooperation, the best alliance, that the other ones, and now you mentioned like the Dracos. But the Dracos, they come from another part of the existence. They come from what some people would define as antimatter. They empty everything. They empty every energy. If there is life, everything that they look at, they empty. They take the energy. And,
so they're parasitical.
Yeah, but if you want to find, because they are a society and they behave in a certain pattern. See, it's not individuals. Yes, they are individual. Every reptile is an individual, but they will work in an overall scene of ideas, in ideology.
So they have an agenda.
Yeah, they have an agenda. So when you, but reptile is a subject that I was dealing with like for 5-6 years, and I had also to encounter with them. So it's the only way to know about them and to encounter with them, really.
So how does this lead to ascension? That was the title that we gave it. Ascending to turmoil. How does this malevolence or evil create ascension or bring ascension about?
Yeah, so generally what the master said is right. It's nothing, it's not the circumstances, it's what you have created in a certain moment in relation to the circumstances or in related to the person. What you picked up for yourself, you have a picture, you have a movie, you are there, and then you move your head and you look into a flower, and now you have another experience. So by means of changing, moving your attention to something that is more positive in this way or another, you've already ascended, in a sense. But still, situations stayed lousy, but you are not looking at it anymore. You're not looking at it anymore. Now, if you look back into
so
it...
it's not a change in actual experience, it's a change in how you perceive the experience.
Yeah, but then because we want to do it complete, then we look again at the bad things, because we return our look at the war and starvation and the scarcity, and we know there is a system that is built a wall between us and this reality. The system is harvesting on all sides possible. So there is a wall. When you look on one side of the wall and then you look into your own ability to discern and look into another thing, then you look for again and again. You move your look from this to that. You look from this to that. And you get rid of ideas that you don't need. For example, the idea that we need this evil to ascend. We don't need this evil to ascend. So the masters, the big masters...
Well, I agree. The evil actually prevents ascension from my perspective. I mean, it's trying everything in its power, if you will, to stop us from becoming awakened.
Yeah, and that's what for example, Cryon says. Cryon, you know Cryon?
Of course.
He says, well, be sure that the evil ones, they will come to you again and bother and know you again. They'll do it again and again because you need to learn, And I tell Cryon, by the time you finish to teach us, that nobody is alive here anymore. Everybody is dead. By the time the smart lesson that you decided, so you're not the ultimate knowledge. You're not ultimate knowledge. If you accept evil as a means for ascension, that means that you have to look at your map in another way. You cannot look at the map that is infinite, in a sense that it will invite into it all the evil that there could be. Because the more you invite to it, the more it will come. No, you want to stop it.
Absolutely. I mean,
so you start...
As long as evil can get its tentacles into our minds and our hearts and our lives, the more we are prevented from becoming the best we can be. We can't ascend. We are entrapped and imprisoned in a consciousness that is destructive.
So I'm saying is maybe it's time for whoever look at the map and they see a big map that everything is happening, the bad things and the good things, your abilities and the system and your abilities, but eventually you cannot raise from a certain level, nothing, you call it ascension, you can call it creativity, you can call it freedom to love, you can call it freedom to travel in this universe. There is scarcity of food and so forth, and there is all the turmoil, the children that are being kidnapped, it's all very difficult. So maybe there is a time for those who see the map to say, let's narrow the map that we allow to an area that we can have a good life here. Narrow the span, the span of the map, because now they say it's infinity and it will expand and there'll be good things and bad things, there'll be bad things, so you cannot afford having bad things happening anymore. So when you look at...
I agree. I mean, there has to be...
So
a line of demarcation drawn that ends the corruption.
Yeah, so now to end the corruption, if you look from an ascended point of view, that will be to make somebody laugh. That is
exactly.
That is to make something positive. So there must start to happen positive things on this planet, so people can compare, can say, what do I prefer? Because it's a matter of attention. Whether you looked at the bad things or the good things, okay, I looked at myself and I found good things all around. I'm able to heal myself from within, and I can do a lot of stuff. But still, in reality, the good things has not happened yet, because I need an experience or something that literally happening, that is absolutely not rumors that will be the RV or whatever, that will be to the ground, will a tangible experience that we can compare, you know. So then we can move our attention to that side, you know. Because playing with ourselves forever and allowing everything bad to happen all the time, we have to narrow the map maybe. And I'm talking to the masters, to the biggest master there is.
We have about 4 more minutes left if we can do that.
So kind of, I think that I presented this sufficiently, because it is the experience. Like I say, the bad people is not a concept about criminality. It will stop criminals. It's not an idea about evil that will help you to deal with evil, because they radiate this energy. Whatever you do, you can play with yourself, still they will. You can turn your attention and look for the bright side. You find good things, so you practice this effect of changing attention. You change from one point to what you want. Now, we need to see it in the world, that something good is actually happening in the world, so we will learn to practice to move our attention from the limitation to abundance. It must happen, not only promises.
Yeah, well, some people practice what I call denial, and they just try to ignore the dark stuff or the evil. They try to turn their heads and thoughts away from it, because focusing on it only increases it. That's the theory. I don't buy it, but that's what people teach.
Yeah, but it depends on people. Some people like to ignore it, and some people must encounter it. Like if I was in the army and I was in a war, and that happened to many people here, and I see the effect on them, and I care for these people. So it will be what will be more appropriate for me to try to heal them, to try to attend their problem. And if somebody is suffering in any circumstances, you know, that's me. I was born like this. So, you know, more so if the bad things are happening. So it depends on who the person, what their ability is. If they must turn their face away, maybe they're not capable of looking at it. I can understand. It's not so rare, but for myself, that I am able to look at all kinds of things. On the contrary, I'm curious. I will learn about the Anunnaki, their brains, their minds. I'm capable to understand, you know, how their mind works. Yeah, so the minute you understand somebody's mind, how it works, you understand pretty well who they are, or those who do. So I'm a person that is approaching everything that is. Also me, I have a point where it may be getting too bad and I'll tear my face away, if possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's a normal reaction. We don't like to look at stuff that's really, really bad, but we have to ultimately face our demons if we're ever going to overcome them, in my opinion. I came to this place occupied with all these experiences. So what I am experiencing now, as far as evil is concerned, is only repeating. It's on the repeat. If I was to do some other video, it's more about the repeat, the effect of the repeat, because the repeat is the culture. So it could be another subject that I could talk about. Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and it is a difficult subject. There's no question about it. It's a subject that we all have to deal with one way or another, and you've given us more food for thought, which is always good.
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to do it with you. Thank you very much, Ron.
Okay, you're very welcome, and stay there. I'm going to end the recording, but I'm not going. You're still going to be there.
Okay.